All right, good morning, Sean. Have you got a cup of coffee with you?
Good morning, Bobby. No, I don't. I got water. That's about it.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna
today will be chats with water for Sean.
yeah, we go crypto chats with water on water. That sounds wrong. Cool. Well, yeah, let's dive straight into it. Another week in the crypto spheres spaces, and a couple of topics. But yeah, let's start with the Bitcoin price. It is hit 50K. It's obviously kind of stabilized a little bit over the last week or so. It's kind of struggling to break through that 50, but yeah, it's funny how the calls for 100K are back and people are bullish again.
Yeah, the market is bizarre. It goes down, what, 15%, and everyone's, no, this is going back down to 2016 levels. We've seen the end of the crypto winter's back, and
Mm,
now the market pulls back up, and all of a sudden, those same people that were saying all those negative things are now positive. And
mm.
you can't look at the short-term movements in this space. Like you'll drive
No,
yourself crazy. You actually will look bipolar on social media if you had to be posting about sort of your emotions and how you feel
yeah,
throughout this process.
yeah.
And it is just weird how human nature is when the markets are declining to become pessimistic about that particular asset, and when they're increasing to become more optimistic.
Mm,
It is weird, right? It's like herd mentality
mm.
defined in a price of something. But I mean,
Yeah.
there are still a lot of positive developments in the market driving
Mm,
prices higher. I've said this a few times on the podcast before, but the number of high net worth and institutions getting involved in crypto in general, and this is now not just Bitcoin, which is also a big news story,
mm,
but it's also the likes of Polkadot, it is
mm,
Cardano, it's Ethereum. Like
mm.
all of a sudden, altcoins are becoming more mainstream, and
Yeah.
that's quite remarkable. And
Mm,
that's driving this price higher. I mean, just for those listeners out there that don't know this, the crypto market's back above 2.05 trillion dollars.
yeah.
I
That was
mean,
quite a, yeah,
that's
quite a
insane.
change.
That's a huge increase from where it was recently, right? And if you
Yeah.
compare this to where we were sitting this time last year, I mean, you've looked at nearly $1.3 trillion being created in this market. I mean, that's how much more money has flown in than flown out.
Yeah.
So if you need
At its
sort of any
bottom, it was at
validation,
1.2. I've got it here. It was at 1.2 trillion on the 20th of July. So July, August, September, October, not even where we, sorry, we're not even October yet. We're not even in September yet. So in 2, 3 months, we've gone by up by zero point 0.3, what's it, zero point 0.7 trillion. I mean, it's just spiked right back up.
insane.
And
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely
altcoin.
insane. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is predominantly altcoin driven. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bitcoin obviously increases and it makes up a very big portion of the entire crypto market. But on that note as well, you know that Bitcoin, about a year and a half ago, had a dominance level sitting at
Mm,
around 75%. Today, that dominance level is sitting around 45%. And
yep.
that's literally a graph that says altcoins are increasing at a rate that's nearly double that of Bitcoin. And if you look at
Mm,
our top 10 bundle at Revex,
mm-hmm,
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I looked yesterday evening, so I'm going to give you a slightly dated figure here, but the
mm-hmm.
bundle was up 425% over the last 12 months, and
Sure.
Bitcoin was up 213%. So that just again shows
Double
the other
almost.
large cap cryptocurrencies, they've really outperformed Bitcoin, nearly
Mm,
2x.
mm. That is quite something, eh? I've got some of the graphs up here, and I'll share it on the episode so people can actually have a look at it. Yeah, it's super fascinating how it's come around, and that's part of the conversation. But just to go back to the Bitcoin conversation about the price action, one of my clients, I found out, he's in Germany and he owns Bitcoin, and he says, you know what, the hardest thing he's done is he put his Bitcoin on a hard wallet, and then he just makes sure never plugs it in, just sits on his hands and just doesn't touch it. And he says it's some of the hardest things he needs to do, but I guess that's a great strategy to stay
Yeah,
out
well,
of
I
that
think just to add to
volatility.
that note as well, interesting factor today is, and this is factual. This is actually something that you can say has occurred because the way that the Bitcoin blockchain works, right? You can validate whether or not certain transactions have occurred or whether Bitcoin's been moved from one wallet to
Mm-hmm.
another.
Mm-hmm.
And roughly 70% of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved in the last 8 months. Now, in the last 8 months, we've just spoken about this. Let me say that again. 70% of all Bitcoin in circulation has not moved over the last 8 months. Now, in the last 8 months, you've had a huge spike in prices. You've seen this significant drop,
Mm-hmm.
50% drop from the all-time high. You've seen the frenzy, what happened in China, miners
Mm-hmm.
running away. Like there's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and 6, 7, 8 months in the crypto world is like 13 years in the real world. And through that period, people have decided to hold on to their cryptocurrency more than what they did in the prior 6 months to that, and the prior 6 months to that, and it's the highest holding rate ever. So, I mean, that to me is a longer term buy signal. That is exactly the reason why you're seeing for friends like what you have, right? Just saying, well, listen, I want to just rather park it and hold it for long term.
Exactly. Sit on my hands, put it on a wallet, hard wallet, and just wait. Yeah, because there's also tax incentives for it as well in most countries to do that, to have that strategy instead of trying to get that price action. So we actually even touched on some of the other topics I wanted to talk to you today about, but the other one is so Cardano. Everyone's talking about Cardano. We've kind of touched on Solar, we've touched on Ethereum, but we've never really touched on Cardano. Its price action has been absolutely flying, and that's with Charles Hoskins bringing out or wanting to release, I think, the upgrade or to release his platform in the 7th of September or something like that. Do you want to just explain what you know about the whole Cardano situation?
Yeah, so Charles, let's go by first names, yeah, because we don't need the surname. Charles was one of the Ethereum co-founders, so he worked with good old Vlad. He worked with some very interesting other individuals at Ethereum to be able to build what Ethereum initially was, like this first version of Ethereum. But there was problems with Ethereum. There's still problems with Ethereum, right? Go make a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. The fees that you'll pay are insane. Even with that recent EIP upgrade that took place, where Ethereum introduced, I think it was 5 EIP upgrades. So that's Ethereum protocol upgrades. There was one that was meant to focus on sort of normalizing the fees, making them more predictive. And that's been great, but now they're predictably high. So they still have to work through that. And the transaction speeds on the Ethereum blockchain are still slow relative to the likes of Cardano. So what they're looking to do at Cardano really is to say, listen, Ethereum, you guys, obviously you built this network. You've got the first mover advantage, about 85% plus, if not a little bit more than that, of all decentralized applications work on Ethereum. And slowly now, because of the high transaction costs and the inefficient nature of Ethereum, projects are moving over to other sort of blockchain networks that offer very similar functionality to Ethereum. Now, Cardano is able to process transactions at a faster speed because it is a proof of stake blockchain, which is where Ethereum is moving to, but it's not there yet. It's better for the environment. And that sort of, that's a huge selling point if you're looking at sort of institutional involvement as well. And the way that the Cardano blockchain is built and is improved is not just based on, and again, I'm not necessarily a Cardano fan over an Ethereum fan. I think there's merits in both.
100%.
But the Cardano approach to upgrading its blockchain is through peer-reviewed papers. So you actually have academics that are putting proposals together, reviewing each other's work and saying, well, okay, right, let's upgrade this part of Cardano, let's implement this feature, let's do that. But it's academics doing that. So you've almost got like decentralized academia building this blockchain infrastructure. Ethereum, that's just developers all over the world sort of proposing things, and some people accepting and some people not. So in a nutshell, really, Cardano is dead set on killing Ethereum or becoming a major competitor. And I mean, I think you are going to start seeing some very serious competition. You don't just have those two though. You've got Cardano. By the way, we're launching Cardano on our platform on Friday. So Friday morning, you'll be able to buy that. And we're launching this with fee free. This was not something you knew, Bobby, but we're launching it with 0 fees. So if you want to go and get exposure to Cardano, you can actually do that. No fee whatsoever from our side. We want people to buy into it. And then, just to add to what I was saying, so you've got Cardano as a smart contract cryptocurrency. We spoke about Solana last week. You've got then Ethereum. You've got Ethereum Classic. You've got Tron. Polkadot's moving into the space. So the blockchain as a service base layer technology, and again, this sounds all super complicated, but if you think about, like needing to have different operating systems for developers to build applications on top of, like think about the application system that exists on your laptop or on your phone. You don't have Microsoft apps built and applied to an Apple iOS device or anything like that. No, like you have to build apps that are native to that particular operating system. And that's where these blockchains are different, because obviously there's different functionality, different ways they work, different strengths, different weaknesses. And at the moment, there's just a big race to kind of come, and that's why these are all called Ethereum killers, to kind of outcompete Ethereum and become the sort of primary smart contract player in the space.
Sounds deep, but I was just looking this morning at the coin market cap the top 10 or whatever it is. And Cardano is now in third place, which is, it's just amazing how it's just been going up and up and up. But then in fourth is Binance Coin. That's also based off the smart contract, right? They're also trying to go into that space. I saw another one. Then Polkadot's right there. Solana's up there. So, and they've got, there's also Luna. I'm not sure if Luna's on smart contracts as well, but no. Okay, because those the ones previously I've mentioned have all increased in the last 7 days by like 20-odd%. Cardano up 36% in the last 7 days. I mean, so everyone's kind of eyeing out the smart contract space, and that's where we're seeing a lot of movement. It's very interesting, and that's why I love to chat to you about it every week, because we're staying in the top of these things as it's happening. It's so interesting to actually watch the journey of how this market is maturing. Like you said it earlier, like 1 week is like a year, 1 year is like 14 years. It really does feel that way.
Yeah, the other thing to think about as well is that there's almost this little waterfall that's falling off Ethereum, and that's on-chain activity. So just so that everyone knows, there's more on-chain transactions on Ethereum's blockchain than Bitcoin over the last year. That was the first time that that's ever occurred.
Okay.
Now you're seeing this big spike in on-chain activity with Cardano, with Polkadot, with Cardano, etc. And that's now what's driving the prices here, right? Remember, most of the traders are just saying, well, if we're looking at fundamental value of the blockchain, like how many people are actually using it? Like that's the longer term indicator of value. Like, sure, there's 100%. New apps and features that come out, but like, are people actually using it? And now if you start seeing the sort of increase in the active use of these different crypto platforms, I mean, you think the price chart of a 20-30% increase over a week's a lot. Go look at the actual use case. That's increased substantially more.
That's an interesting thing to go look up. Definitely going to do some research into that. And again, I think we talk about time and how it flies, but it's flying here this morning. But the last thing I wanted to just chat about, because it hasn't really been in the news for a while, but El Salvador, they're actually going to be opening, I think it's 200 ATMs around El Salvador, 50 banks around the country that are going to be able to, where you'll be able to exchange your Bitcoin for dollars. So it's actually getting its use case, and it's going to be so interesting to see how it gets taken up. And yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's fascinating. And it also coincides perfectly with the time when the hash rate on the Bitcoin blockchain, while it's been a bit volatile, has come down substantially, in transaction fees on Ethereum. So you've got a mempool, which is so the way that it works really on Ethereum, on Bitcoin, is that you say, listen, I want to make a payment from my wallet to your wallet. Now, when I make that payment, I say, okay, great, I'm going to attach a small transaction fee that's going to incentivize a miner to take my transaction and validate it. The higher the fee that I pay, the quicker that transaction gets validated. Now, all these transactions from all the people in the world get taken into this mempool. Now, when they're sitting in the mempool, miners come along and say, great, well, give me the more expensive ones to start with, and then they work down in the pool until they get to the cheaper transactions. But right now, you can have a Bitcoin transaction processed within 20 minutes for less than 7 Rand. Now, that is the lowest that I've seen since 2014 or 15. So I don't know, maybe I'm missing something in terms of a Bitcoin upgrade. Maybe Liquid, which is a bit of a side chain, but separate project to the actual Bitcoin mainnet. Maybe that's playing a role into this, but my word, the Bitcoin network's become a lot more efficient, and it seems to perfectly coincide with El Salvador rolling this out, because all of a sudden our transactions are becoming significantly more affordable than what they would have been, say, 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, incredible. I didn't know that. So that's a great way to end off today's show. That, as always, very insightful and super interesting. So thank you for your insight, Sean. It's always great. Next time, bring your coffee.
Done. Awesome. Abhi, thanks so much.
Cool, man.
Take care.
You too.